Audio check, 1, 2, 3, audio check.
Audio check, 3, audio check.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Motive Racing YouTube channel tonight here for round 6 of 8 for the BTCC here, season 14 on Project Cars 2 on the PlayStation 4 and 5. We're here at Silverstone tonight for the latest round. Obviously we're on the shorter configuration tonight, the national circuit here at Silverstone, which is, as I said, it's a very short circuit. There's a lot of straights and not too many corners, so it's all about slipstream here around this track. It usually provides very close pack style racing, and we've seen some absolute classics over the seasons here at Motive around this configuration of Silverstone. Usually we've seen a few thrills and spills towards the end of races. Tensions start to build up as the urgency to jostle for position sort of ramps up a bit, and we've seen many pile-ups over the seasons, but usually after having seen a load of really tight clean racing before that. But yeah, we've seen tensions come to a head around this circuit before. But we're here tonight for round 6 of an 8-round season. Tonight will be races 16, 17 and 18 of a 24 race season. So we are coming towards the business end of the season now. We're getting towards that point where it's now, you know, it's a make or break kind of a part of the season. Last season we did have about 5 or 6 drivers. I think we had 6 drivers at this stage in the season, still in the shout of the championship realistically. This season I've kind of got it narrowed down to around 6 again, who could probably still maybe have a chance. I'd say realistically there's 3 big contenders, but I'm going to read you through the championship standings after drop rounds, including, obviously, because we are doing a drop round this season, so every driver drops their worst result in terms of what was their worst round of the season, and essentially it's negated from their total. So if somebody misses a round, they drop 0 points essentially, so it helps the guys who miss a round. It kind of doesn't really favour those who turn up to every race, so I guess in a way that's one sort of downside. But you know, if somebody's away or they've got a meeting or they've got something important going on, like a commitment or whatever, you know, personal circumstances, then it's not going to affect their season. Just having to miss 1 round, it won't completely and utterly ruin their chances of being in the fight with the championship. So pretty much after drop rounds the situation is currently this. So John Boy sits at the top of the standings on 330 points. He scored 396 so far this season. He dropped 66 because his highest scoring round, his lowest scoring round was 66. So you know, that's pretty incredible when you think about it. That's his lowest round. So yeah, he's on 330 points after drop rounds. Captain Harlock sits in 2nd place. He's scored 339 points so far this season, but obviously with the drop round he drops 54 points. In fact, actually no, sorry. Wake up, Andy. Sorry, Captain Harlock is not 2nd with drop rounds. Mike is 2nd with drop rounds. So John Boy's top on 330 points. Mike is 2nd on 311 points. 19 points separating the top 2 after drop rounds. You've got Cobb, who is 3rd on 307 points. He's 23 points behind after drop rounds. Captain Harlock is in 4th on 285 points after drop rounds, so he's about 45 points behind John Boy at this point. So he would need a bit of a miracle in the closing few rounds of this season to have a realistic chance of winning this championship. He really needs to get a move on here if he is going to be able to challenge John Boy and Mike and Cobb in this championship battle. Ollie sits 5th on 274 points. Has got a good chance here of keeping himself in contention for a top 3 spot in the championship. Maybe the top spot is looking unlikely at this stage though. But Ollie's main focus this season, we've said before, is the Clio Cup on a Tuesday night, where he's doing absolute bits. He's currently leading that championship by 10 points over Mike, and Mike obviously the 3-time champion of the Clio Cup, looking to try and make it 4 this season. Ollie is currently leading that one by a hair at this point with 2 rounds left in the season, so definitely tune in on Tuesday night, guys, to see if Ollie can see this one out. And then Craig is in 5th in the championship here for the touring cars. After drop rounds he sits on 256 points. He is 76 points behind, or 74 points behind John Boy, so he's got a lot of work to do, and it's looking unlikely for him that he'd be able to figure in this season or in the championship anyway. But that's the situation at the top of the standings. I'm going to also read through the full standings without drop rounds being taken into effect, because you know, drop rounds, you know, at the top of the standings they're kind of you know, very sort of relevant, but I'm just going to read through the championship before the drop rounds anyway. So it is John Boy who currently leads the way on 396 points, 57 points clear of Captain Harlock, who sits second on 339. Mike is in third on 323, followed by Cobb, who is in fourth place in the standings on 307 points. And you've got Craig, who's fifth on 288. And he's a little way clear of Ollie, who is sixth on 274 points. Obviously drops no points because he missed Brands Hatch due to some hardware issues. Jay is 7th on 255 points, not here tonight, obviously he's pulled out a championship now. Aussie Albie sits 8th on 236 points. He moved ahead of Nick Lavilla last week, who's down to 9th on 234 points. Diabetic Lamb sits in 10th on 215 points, with Charlie Goff in 11th on 200 points. Then you've got Tim MW 12th on 194, ahead of Thoristeer, who's 13th on 162. Then you've got Revolt Detailer in 14th on 154 points. RJ Dale sits in 15th on 136, followed by the 5Fs, who's 16th on 68. Park Pooper 17th on 60. And the Mutts Nuts at the bottom of the standings on 48 points in 18th place. But that is that then for the practice, guys. The first practice of the night is Cobb taking the fastest time ahead of Captain Harlock, with Nick Lavilla third ahead of John Boy, who's fourth fastest right there then. But we're going to proceed to the first race of the night, which is going to be a reverse grid based on the championship standings. We're going to have one formation lap to get into order based on the result, or based on the reverse of those championship standings, and then at the end of the formation lap will be officially green for the first time here tonight at Silverstone National. It's been a couple of seasons, I think, since we've raced the Silverstone National in the touring cars. I know we didn't race it here last season. I think we raced here in the Clios, but not the touring cars. So yeah, it's been a while since we took these beasts, these Renault Megans, around the Silverstone National circuit. Obviously, this season it's an all Renault Megane series, and nobody has opted for the BMW. Ollie actually asked me before tonight if he could race in a BMW, and obviously the rule is that if you change car mid-season you have to drop all of your points. So essentially Ollie was not prepared to do that, he said, which you know, you can understand, perfectly reasonable there. But obviously, you know, quite a ballsy move to go for the BMW, I've got to say. I certainly wouldn't do it. I mean, you know, with these guys, the proficiency and the confidence that these guys have got in the Renault Megane pretty much makes it no contest, really, if I'm honest. The setups that they got, it's definitely the way to go. The Renault Megane is 100% the car you want to be in for the BTCC here at Motive. Just with the amount of time and practice that these guys have put in to that car, you know, it's just insane. So yeah, but who knows? Ollie might be looking to try and jump in the BMW for next season potentially, and if he does, then all I can say is good luck to him. But nonetheless, we are here for the start of the first race of the night here at Motive for the BTCC. This round 6 of 8 for this season. We've got Totally Zero in the comments saying hi, welcome Totally Zero, good to see you. As always, one of our biggest fans here at Motive on the YouTube channel, and usually chimes in and sees how we're doing. So good to see you, mate. Welcome along. And yeah, we're getting going now for the formation lap. So as I said before, we'll be getting into reverse grid or reverse championship order based on the standings that we've got to date, which I've already read out as well. I've already read the champion standings out, so we all know what the situation is with that. So yeah, pretty much we're just going to be now going through this formation lap. But hey, business end of the season now. 3 rounds left, including tonight. 9 races in this season. We're down to obviously the final 2 rounds in the Clio Cup, which runs on a Tuesday. A little update in that one: the championship leader is Ollie in the Clio Cup. He's 10 points clear of Mike, who sits in second. So Ollie's on 430, Mike's is second on 420, John Boy's fourth on 404 points. So in terms of that battle, the Clio Cup pretty close, but in the BTCC here tonight, it's John Boy who leads after drop rounds on 330 points, and he's 19 points clear of Mike, who is second on 311, and you've got Cobb in third on 307 points. He's 23 points behind in the standings, so it's quite close really this season in terms of the standings. But it looks like we're underway here. We're coming out of Woodcote here onto the start finish straight, and we're underway here for the first race of the night. RJ Dale leads us into Cobb's corner for the first time as we watch everyone file through a shot there, and looking like there aren't really any moves, so nobody's been caught off guard, nobody's been able to capitalise on any little sleepy starts here. But coming down towards Magus and Beckett's for the first time, and you can see the top six have broken away a little bit from the others. Aussie Albie's looking to the outside of Craig here into Beckett's. Oh, he had to go deep there, and did Craig get a bit of a tap in their ear from somebody? I think he might have done. Craig seems to have been knocked off the track, and so has Aussie, so those two have come together there, and they're down to 14th and 15th places here on the first lap, so that's gone an absolute nightmare for both of those two as we come into Brooklands for the first time. Revolt Detailer is looking down the inside of Doris Deer, but Team MW's gone around the outside of both of them here, so Team MW now leads the race here on the first racing lap. Great start from Team MW, obviously missed last week, so it was a bit further down in the championship order than what he was before, but he's now got the lead here as we come through Woodcote for the first time at Racing Speeds. Revolt Detailer there in second place, trying to keep it around the outside of Doris Deer as they're coming out onto the start finish straight here. You've got Charlie Goff there ahead of RJ Dale with Nick Levilla right there as well, as here goes Revolt Detailer down the inside into Cobb's corner. Doris Deer is trying to keep it on the inside actually. It's Doris Deer who's trying to make the move on Revolt Detailer there, but has to back out for the time being. So come down towards Magus and Beckett's once again. Team MW though is opening a bit of a gap, and it's contact there between Doris Deer and Revolt Detailer. As Charlie looking to the inside. Now Revolt Detailer is able to go for the cut back there on Doris Deer out of Chapel and gets back up into second place here. Good little race, good little battle there between those two. Currently Revolt Detailer still maintaining second place here in this race. Down towards Brooklands we go. Nick Levilla is now attacking on the back of Doris Deer in towards Brooklands. Oh, and Nick gets a tap there on the back from Charlie, and he goes into the side of Doris. That was all coming from Charlie Goff, tapping Nick Levilla in the rear there as they came into Brooklands. Doris Deer managed to get away almost scot-free with that one, but Charlie Goff knocking into the back of Nick. Oh, it's Captain Harlock's round there going through Luffield. So Captain Harlock's dropped it there. Didn't see what happened there to him, but he's down to 15th place, and everybody seems to be losing it right now in the early stages of this race. So carnage here. Well, not carnage. It wasn't too bad to be fair, but chaos I would say. Let's call it in the early stages. As we see them all going through Cobb's corner right now. So Captain Harlock down to 14th. Aussie Albie's into the pits at the end of lap 3. So did he get a drive through? Potentially. Not quite sure, but he's making a very early and suspect pit stop, and I didn't really notice any damage on his car. So I don't know whether he's had an incident or something maybe. But nonetheless, Aussie Albie into the pits, and that's his race one pretty much done and dusted here. But Revolt Detailer leading us, Tim W leading us coming down towards Brooklands. Revolt Detailer is keeping him on his toes though at the moment. 7/10 of a second between those two as they come through Brooklands for the fourth time in this race. You can see that the Mutts Nuts is having to defend here from Nick Levilla. Mutts Nuts Racing is a late stand-in tonight as he goes deep there going through Brooklands. Into Luffield we go. Nick Levilla looking to the outside. The Mutts Nuts hugs the inside line here as they come through on the exit now. But the Mutts Nuts there keeps on ahead of Nick Levilla for the time being. You can see there Granad Stee is attacking on the back of these guys as well here. Granad Stee also racing as a late stand-in here tonight. Good to see him out on track racing for the first time in a long time. And he's trying to attack on the back of these two. Obviously, Nick Levilla's team is called No Mutts Racing because Mutts Nuts was supposed to be his teammate, but pulled out of the championship at the start of the season, and Diabetic Lamb took his place. But Mutts Nuts now back in the fold here as he's got ahead of his teammate there into Magus and Beckett. So Mutts Nuts there getting himself into 9th place, and pretty routine stuff there from him. But we go back to the leaders here. Team MW has got Revolt Detailer absolutely hassling here coming down towards Brooklands. Looking up the inside, trying to put him under a bit of pressure here. Trying to force him into a bit of a mistake if he possibly can. But Team MW is not giving him anything to go on at the moment. He's keeping himself cleaner than a whistle at this point, and currently just keeping himself in check. But Nick Levilla is still on the back of the Mutts Nuts coming through Luffield. You can see Granad Stee with Charlie Goff, Craig and Captain Harlock a little way off the back of these guys right now. Aussie Albie has emerged from the pits after his early pit stop in this race and is running in P15. He's over 30 seconds off of the lead, so it's not been the race that Aussie Albie would have been dreaming about before he started this one. But coming down towards Magus and Beckett's once again. Team MW Revolt Detailer. Cobb now within a second of the lead as well. Mike's right there, so 4 drivers, the top 4. So we're right second. What happened there? I just saw in the foreground there was a bit of contact there between Revolt Detailer and Team MW. Revolt Detailer has made his way through up into the lead here, coming out of Chapel onto the Wellington Straight, so didn't see exactly how that came about, but Revolt Detailer is your new race leader. Down towards Brooklyn as we go. Team MW's got Cobb looking to his outside, and he's pretty much got the two corn on the Cobb cars around him here as Team MW. Into Luffield we go. They're trying to hold it around the outside of Cobb, but Cobb's going to have this one done surely up into second place. Revolt Detailer goes very wide there coming out of Luffield. Are there going to be team orders between the two corn on the Cobb cars here? Because Revolt Detailer's got his teammate now looking to try and make a move for the lead, and Cobb obviously in the championship battle. Revolt Detailer's surely going to be waving him by here. Coming down towards Cobb's corner. Cobb making a move for the lead here. Down the inside he goes. In the background, Mike looking down the inside of Revolt Detailer as well. And Mike moves himself through up into second place. So Cobb and Mike up into 1 and 2 here. Team MW now getting ahead of Revolt Detailer coming down towards Magus and Beckett's. And Revolt Detailer has gone from P1 to P4 in the space of 2 corners there. Goes a bit wide there as well through Beckett's. So Revolt Detailer down to P4, still 0.7 of a second though, separating the top 4 drivers here. RJ Dale there running in P5, not too far for the lead either, so he's keeping himself in the hunt at the moment. And Revolt Detailer looking to the inside of Team MW into Brooklands, but nothing doing at this point. But still the battle between Cobb and Mike raging on here. These two have cut their way through the field like a hot knife through butter tonight. They have absolutely carved their way through. They have made absolutely no delay of it whatsoever, as we can see Revolt Detailer here trying to defend from Team MW down the start finish straight. Here we come into Cobb's corner once again, but he's just a little bit too far back at the moment. He's going to have to wait for his opportunity a little bit longer here as we watch everybody else coming through Cobb's corner here for the 8th time in this race. And the top 14 drivers separated by just under 10 seconds. Obviously you've got Ozzy Albi who came in for that early pit stop. He's now nearly 40 seconds off of the lead, and he's had an absolute horror show in this opening race of the night. But Doris Deer is currently putting some pressure here on Ollie Marr as they're coming out of Chapel Curve. Let's jump on board with the Monster Energy livery, as we can see here coming down the Wellington Straight. He's looking to the outside here on Ollie Marr as they're coming down towards Brooklands. Is he going to be able to make a move here? Ollie's going to hold on to that one for the time being. No dice there for Doris Deer coming through Luffield. Cobb on Mike over at Revolt Detailer's got wide there going through Luffield, and Team MW is going to make the move here up into 3rd place. Gets it done beautifully there, does Team MW. RJDL still on the back of these guys. Ollie ahead of Doris Deer and John Boy as these guys are coming out of Woodcote once again. John Boy here is going to just squeeze ahead of Doris Deer. Doris Deer was wide onto the curb. Would have maybe managed to actually make up a bit of speed there because he had a wider radius and wasn't taking as tight of a line. But John Boy here on the inside of Cobb's corner and moves himself through up into 7th place. Beautifully done there from John Boy. Cobb, Mike still battling at the front. They've gapped Team MW now by nearly 2 seconds. So these guys behind, Team MW, Revolt Detailer, RJ Dale, dropping off of the 2 leaders ever so slightly at this point. Cobb and Mike continuing to dice it out here as they're coming down the Wellington Straight. But great racing in the touring cars, as per usual really. It's what you come to expect when you tune in on a Thursday night here at Motive to watch the BTCC here on Project Cars 2. And currently Cobb has lost out to Mike, so Mike's made the move. He must have made it coming through Brooklands there into Luffield. He must have got it done, so round the outside there, Cobb has lost out the position here. So Mike is your new race leader, and obviously this is big for the championship because Mike is ahead of Cobb in the championship. Cobb, as it stood, would have gained a couple of points and would have closed the gap to Mike to 2 points. These two trailing John Boy, and John Boy has not had the seamless progress that he would have been hoping for in this first race of the night. He's currently running in 7th place. He's only 4 seconds off of the lead. He can still get on the podium potentially, but Mike and Cobb have definitely made much more better progress than him over the course of this race. RJL a little bit wide there going through Beckett's, and potentially might lose out to his teammate. No, Ollie's still behind him at the moment, but train of cars here currently 9 seconds covering currently covering the top 14 cars as they're coming into Brooklands here for the 10th time in the race. But what racing here!
Grandad's in that race.
Yeah, Grandad Steve. Yeah. Have you got a new? You can have a new favourite driver now, aren't you?
Who's the man?
Grandad Steve.
Oh, I don't know.
But currently Cobb on the back of Mike here as they're coming out of Woodcote here onto the start finish straight. Auto Butcher in the comments saying great racing and not even halfway yet. Mate, it's been absolutely fantastic. I do love the BTCC and I love this track as well. Silverstone National is probably my favourite track to commentate on because you just never know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. And there's often, you know, the racing is so good, but usually you do get incidents which kind of spice it up just that little bit. But obviously, you know, the they're understandable incidents because you've got 15 drivers packed into a very tight circuit where
It was 14
they're all
just
sort of in
now.
line. We've got 14 in the pack, but there's one driver who had to come in for an early pit stop, so he's nowhere near them. But Mike there just going into Brooklands ahead of Team MW and Revolt Detailer. RJ Dale has got Ollie looking down his inside into Brooklands, but just not close enough at the moment. These two obviously teammates though, racing for Yo Racing this season. And are there going to be team orders between these two? John Boy's managed to get ahead of... I know he was already ahead of the Mustnuts, sorry, forget that. But Doris Deer's got Craig, Granite Steve and Charlie Goff pretty close on the back of him here as they're coming through Woodcote right now. Trying to keep an eye on everything as it's happening. Oh, RJ Dale wide coming into Cop's corner. RJ Dale's lost out to John Boy and the Mustnuts. He led his teammate through by the looks of it. That has, I think, let quite a few of them through. So RJ Dale there down to 8th place, and somebody's dropping down the order here. Who's that? Doris Deer's lost out a few places here, down to 13th place. Didn't see what happened there to him. But yeah, he's lost out hugely there. 7 of you currently watching the stream, guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying what you're watching right now, and subscribe to the channel and show your appreciation for the drivers out on track, because they are putting on a superb show, as Auto Butchers quite rightly pointed out. But John Boy here has got the Mustnuts to his inside, coming into Brooklands, and the Mustnuts there makes the move down the inside there, up into 6th place. He goes a little bit wide there, coming through Brooklands. Into Luffield we go. Holding the inside right now is the Mustnuts, and keeping on to that one as they're coming through on the exit of Luffield. You can see Craig has got Charlie Goff and Doris Deer right there with him as well, with Captain Harlock on the fringes of them.
Are you at work tomorrow?
Yeah, 7 till 2. I quite like not having to open, it's good.
7 till 3?
I like not having to open because it's much more, I get a lot more sleep. But currently here's Mike and Cobb here coming out onto the Wellington Straight. These guys separated by 0.3 of a second, and they're keeping the gap at around a couple of seconds to Team MW, but Team MW has gapped Revolt Detailer a little bit and is now starting to come after them a little bit. As we can see, Nick the Villa here defending from RJ Dale. RJ Dale's lost it there going into Brooklands. He just got a bit of a snap oversteer there as they came into Brooklands, and he's lost a load of places here. So RJ Dale dropping down the field like a stone. Nick the Villa has lost a couple of places here as well, I think. Is it Nick the Villa? No, it's not Nick the Villa, sorry. It's somebody lagging. It's either Cobb or a Revolt Detailer. So one of these two is lagging. Because I saw it was definitely one of their cars. Revolt Detailer's got some damage on the front of the car, so... Or is that lag? Potentially that could be lag, although saying that, he seems to have lost a bit of time over the last couple of laps, so I think it might actually be real. But yeah, nonetheless, he's running in P4, please don't. But Mike still just ahead of Cobb at this point. There's half a second between the two leaders here as they're coming down the Wellington Straight, down towards Brooklands once again. John Boy here attacking the back of the Mustnuts into Brooklands, still a little bit too far back just at the moment. Nick the Villa waiting in the wings behind these guys as well.
Guys.
Oh, it's Doris there a bit wide and loses out there to Captain around the outside here, trying to get a move done on Grandad Stee as they come through Luffield. Stee hugging the inside. Oh, bit of contact there as Captain trying to use every part of the track that he can. Grandad Stee there, a bit aggressive in his defence, but holds on to 11th place for the time being.
Grandad.
Captain though looking for an opportunity here to get ahead of Grandad Stee as they're coming through Cop's corner. In the meantime, Mike and Cobb still running in first and second. They got a couple of seconds back to Team MW. Revolt Detailer there, who's a couple of seconds ahead of this battle between Ollie the Mustnuts and John Boy, with Nick right there with them as well as they're coming out of Chapel Curve here for the 50th time in this race. There's the two leaders once again into Brooklands. Still no change between those two. Revolt Detailer lagging all over the place right now. Really is struggling with his internet. He'll be wanting to get that restarted before we get into the second race of the night. Captain Harlock looking to the inside here on Grandad Stee into Brooklands. Can he complete the move? Grandad Stee's got the inside here into Luffield. Can Captain go for a cutback? No, he can't, because Grandad Stee's got that parked beautifully there, positioning his car in exactly the right places and doing a great job here to hold on to 11th place here in this race still.
Is that Grandad? Holding on to 11th place.
No, definitely not. But
yes, it is.
no, it's not.
No,
No, it's not.
GRA.
No, you're lying. Team MW here, still ahead of a Revolt Detailer. There's Ollie, always wide there, going through Beckett's. Gets it turned in though nonetheless. Ollie though living dangerously there, making a little mistake which nearly cost him P5, but he's still got the Nuts and John Boy in hot pursuit here, with Nick also on the fringes of these guys. As Nick looking to the inside on John Boy into Brooklands, but no dice at the moment. But John Boy running in 7th place at this point here in this race, losing points as things stand to Mike and Cobb, who are 1 and 2 out the front. And this won't be ideal for John Boy. With drop rounds coming into play, he obviously leads the championship by a net 19 points over Mike. But if things were to finish at this moment in time as they are right now, then John Boy would score 20 points, Mike would score 32, which would mean that Mike would cut the championship gap down to just 7 points after this race. So Mike definitely having the night so far. Cobb on the back of him as well, also gaining points on John Boy, and will be very much in that picture there, in that fight for the title. These three now potentially getting daylight between themselves and Captain Harlock. Captain Harlock next in the standings on 285 points, but he's down in 14th place and really struggling tonight in this opening race of the evening. So Captain Harlock may be out of the championship here as things stand. With the way they're going tonight, it could be a 3-horse race in this title race, but Mike and Cobb still fighting it out. The other championship contender, the championship leader John Boy, stuck in traffic here right now, still behind the Nuts as they're coming through Woodcote here, about to complete lap 17. We've got 5 laps left to go here for the first race of the evening. Mike still keeping Cobb just about at arm's reach. There's Team MW, there's Revolt Detailer coming through Cobbs. Ollie there in 5th ahead of the Nuts, followed by John Boy. There's Nick DeVilla, and a bit of a gap back to Craig, who's running in 9th place. There's Charlie Goff, who's got Doris Steer, followed by Grandad Steed, Captain Harlock and RJ Dale there, running in P14 at this point. But coming towards the closing stages of the first race of the night for round 6 of the BTCC for season 14 here at Motive. Cobb there flashing his lights, trying to get to the head of Mike if he can, trying to put him off ever so slightly, but Mike's not taking the bait. He's still holding on, and he's still keeping onto his faculties at this point. As we go back to the battle here between Ollie, the Nuts and John Boy, who are still fighting it out with Nick as well right there. Oh, the Nuts has gone for the move down the inside of Ollie into Luffield. He's going to get that one done as Ollie there a little bit wide. And can John Boy get the run here coming through Woodcote? Ollie's just going to have the momentum on the outside and should be able to hold on as they're coming down the start finish straight. And luckily for Ollie, he'll get the slipstream here off of the Nuts, who's staying to the outside. Will Ollie be able to hold on here ahead of John Boy coming through Cops corner? John Boy to the inside. Ollie keeps it around the outside there beautifully. Goes a little bit wide for good measure. And John Boy actually is going to get a run here down towards Maggots and Beckett's. Who's going to be in front here? John Boy's going to be in front. And John Boy moves himself through up into 6th place. So John Boy there moving ahead of Ollie. Great move there from our 3-time champion in the touring car division. The championship leader there gaining a couple of points. But will still obviously be leading the championship. But Mike is closing the gap out the front. He's currently got that lead over Cobb, but a slender one at that. And obviously Mike, the 2-time champion of the touring cars. John Boy, a 3-time champion. He's got the move done down the inside of Ollie there into Brooklands. So John Boy there up into P6. He's got that move done again. I think Ollie must have got ahead of him down the Wellington straight, but John Boy's gone, no Ollie, you're not going to overtake me, not like that. And he's back up into 6th place. I mean, not like that, not specifically like that, because I don't know how he did it, but in the meantime, Mike and Cobb still running in 1st and 2nd, coming out of Cobbs and down towards Maggots and Beckett's again. They've got a bit of traffic here, who I'm absolutely 100% certain is Aussie Albie, because Aussie Albie's the one who dropped off of the pack, obviously, with that very early pit stop here in this race. Not indicative of Aussie Albie's pace at all. He's a very quick driver and he's a competitive man, but obviously with his early pit stop, he's pretty much sidelined him from any chance of competing for a worthy position in this first race of the night. Mike there ahead of Cobb, and they're a few seconds clear now. The 2 leaders have absolutely demolished everybody else. Team MW there running in 3rd, as we can see Revolt Detailer here looking to the inside of the Nuts in towards Brooklands. He's going to make the move here. He's looking down the inside. He locks up a little bit there, and he gets a tap in the rear from John Boy. John Boy's now going to try and pick Leo off here coming through Luffield. He looks to the outside here, is John Boy, but Revolt Detailer is going to park his car on the inside, gets a good exit there out of Luffield, and will get the run through Woodcote, and is going to hold on here for P5 at the moment. But John Boy must have sensed the opportunity there to gain a couple more points and minimise the damage to his other 2 contenders, who are currently 1 and 2 here in this race. What a job it's been from the 2 leaders in this race. As we've got Tony Zero says, this do be PC2 drama everywhere, good races every time. Robert De Jong saying, Andy, I can hear your Nana talking in the background. She's right next to me. She loves mentioning certain drivers' names, including Grandad Steve. She has a bit of an obsession now with Grandad Steve, don't you, Nana?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Mike here still leading ahead of Cobb as they're coming through into Luffield here. We've got just over a lap left to go here for the first race of the night, and it's still Mike currently holding on to it just about. They're coming up on Aussie Albie, who will be obviously a back marker, and I can't imagine that Aussie Albie's going to make it too difficult for them, because he knows that they're battling for the lead, and he won't want to be burning bridges with his fellow drivers. I'm sure about that. But coming into Cobb's corner we go for the final time in race 1. It's Mike and Cobb who are going to fight out the finish. And has Cobb been waiting for his opportunity here? Potentially he's just been playing the long game here, like a silent assassin, waiting for his chance to make that to pull the trigger and make that move here as we come out of Chapel Curve onto the Wellington Straight here for the final time. The thing for Mike though is that he's got the slipstream off of Aussie Albie, so that could help him here, or it could also be a thorn in his side, because Aussie Albie, obviously a back marker, he could play a massive cork in the bottle here for either of these two. But into Brooklands we go. Cobb's going to try and get a cutback. Mike though keeping his cool, not making any mistakes, leaving nothing on the table at the moment. Into Luffield we go. I think Mike is going to see this one out. And on the exit of Luffield we go for the final time here in race 1. It's going to be Mike who is going to take the first win. First blood for Mike, taking the points over Cobb, gaining a couple of points on him. But both of these two gaining huge points on John Boy. It's Mike to take the win ahead of Cobb in second place. A bit of a gap back to Team MW, who's going to complete the podium with a very creditable drive there from him indeed. Third place for Team MW. Nick Levitta's going to come over to take P4 in the end, ahead of John Boy, who gained a couple of places at the end. But John Boy losing points to his other two rivals here in the championship. Mutts Nuts takes P6 out of a Rolt Dieter in 7th, followed by Ollie Marr in 8th, with Craig over in 9th place, Captain Harlock 10th, then Charlie Goff in a P11, Doris Deer 12th. It was RJ Dale who was 13th, they had a Grandis Steve 14th, and Aussie Albie taking P16 there in that one. So it is Mike taking the win ahead of Cobb, with Team MW completing the podium. Guys, we'll be back very shortly for the second race, the qualifying session before the second race. The only qualifying session of the night, because the other two are both reverse grids. But yeah, we'll be back very shortly. Don't go anywhere.
Grandad. Grandad's step. No.
Is he your new favourite driver?
No.
He's not?
No.
He's not your favourite? Who's your favourite?
I don't know. My favourite ones aren't there.
Oh. Who's your favourite?
Monkey's bollocks.
It's actually funny because his dad was in the comments. His dad was commenting on the stream. Yeah. His dad was commenting on the stream. You know, Cheese Monkey, the driver that you really like. Yeah. His dad was commenting on the stream earlier. Yeah. Funny coincidence, that.
Yeah. Aussie Belly. Andy C, WFC.
Yeah, that's me.
Huh?
That's me. You could probably guessed that, couldn't you?
I did. I figured that out.
Well done. Very smart.
You're on at 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, 7 till 2.
7 till 2.
Yeah.
Is Lucy there tomorrow?
No, so it's, I think it's, I don't know who it is actually, I think it's Alistair. I think Simon's baking.
Do you ever be baking, or aren't you trustworthy?
No.
It's because of your dirty fiffy nails.
No, well, I've got to go to the toilet.
Is it because of your
I've got to go to the toilet.
fiffy nails?
Oh. Right then guys, welcome back. We're here for the second race of the night. I'm just going to quickly go for the championship standings after race 1 here tonight. So John Boy now leads on 421 points. This is before drop rounds. So I worked that on a pen and paper after the final race. But essentially John Boy is on 421 points. Well, when I say final race, I mean final race of tonight as well. But yeah, John Boy is leading on 421 points. And he is 66 points clear of Mike, who is second on 355, but obviously Mike has a drop round in hand, a big drop round in hand, because John Boy is dropping a lot of points. He's been very consistent this season. He'll drop a lot of points in the drop rounds. Captain Harlock is third on 353 points, but he's got no drop round to play with, so he's a long way behind in the battle now. Cobb fourth on 337 points, with Craig in fifth on 304 points, and then you've got Ollie Moore, who is 6th on 292. Nick the Villa sits in 7th on 260 points. Jay's 8th on 255. Aussie Albie in 9th on 242 points. Then you've got Team MW, who is 10th on 222. Diabetic Lamb sits 11th on 215 points. Charlie Goff is in 12th place in the standings on 212. Revolt Detailer 13th on 174 points. With Doris Steer 14th on 172. RJ Dale in 15th on 144 points, followed by Mutts Nuts, who is 16th on 70 points, 5Fs on 68 in 17th, and Park River in 18th on 60 points. But the lights coming on ahead of the grid. We're about to go racing here for the second race of the night. And it's lights out and away we go. Only standing start of the night, straight into the action here, as Captain Harlock has not got a great start, and Mike has jumped him here into turn 1. So Mike here leads through Cop's Corner for the first time, and Captain Harlock tucks in there for the time being in second place. In the background you've got Craig there just behind them. John Boy's got ahead of Cobb on the exit of Cops down towards Magus and Beckett. So John Boy up into 4th place. Does he complete the move around the outside? Cobb trying to keep himself there as John Boy wide. Oh, and somebody's gone off in the background there. I think it was the Mutts Nuts there who was wide. Was it a collision there with Grandad Steve? I think potentially those two coming together, and they're down to the foot of the pack. Or was it actually? It might have been Aussie Albie, I'm not sure. But in the meantime, it's Mike leading ahead of Captain Harlock, followed by Craig, as there is John Boy on the back of Cobb. You can see the side-by-side here between Team MW and Charlie Goff. Charlie Goff trying to go around the outside here of Team MW. He'll have the inside for Luffield and gets himself up into 7th place there. Beautifully done there from Charlie Goff. But a difficult start there for Aussie Albie and the Mutsnuts and Grandad Steer as well. I think those guys having some kind of incident. Doris Steer wide there coming out of Luffield and loses out here to Ollie and Grandad Steer. Doris Steer is also going to lose out to Aussie as well. So Aussie moves himself up into 13th place, and Doris Steer having a very difficult opening lap here to this second race of the night. What a shame there for him. But down towards Maggotts and Beck as we come for the second time here in this second race of the night. It's currently Mike from captain from Craig. There's Cobb there on the back of these guys, but there's a real long train of cars here, as you'd expect in the with a standing start. Everybody's so closely bunched up. Currently 5 seconds covering all the way from the leader to 15th place. It's very, very close. Look at that. That's a long snake of cars there going down towards Brooklands. But as Craig looking to the inside there on Captain Harlock, but too far back just at the moment, has to tuck in for the time being. In the background there, Charlie a little bit wide going through Brooklands, but keeping it currently nicely there at this point. But Mike low leading, coming through Woodcote here, about to complete the second lap of this race. Captain Harlock, his teammate, keeping him on his toes. Captain Harlock needs a good result. He needs to really be on the podium in both races tonight if he's to keep himself in the championship battle. He's all but out of it at this point, I'd have to say, with the amount of points it is behind John Boy. And obviously he's not going to benefit from a drop round like the guys around him, like Mike and Cobber, come the end of the season. So it's really going to be about Captain Harlock. He's just going to absolutely smash it out of the park from here to the end of the season right now. But Mike here leading the race as Captain's coming under heavy pressure from Cobb, and Cobb I think has got the move done on the exit of Chapel Curve as we come down towards Brooklands. Has Cobb got this move completed here coming down towards Brooklands? I think he has. John Boy there in the background, got nowhere to go. 3 wide here into Brooklands as Captain trying to hold the inside. Cobb down the middle, should have it done coming into Luffield as they're still side by side. No, Captain manages to fend him off there actually. Nicely done from Captain Harlock. In the background, Craig is a bit wide there going through Luffield, and manages to stay ahead of Charlie Goff, his teammate. He's got Nick, Team MW and Revolt Detailer right to the back of him as they're coming through Woodcote here, about to complete lap 3 of the race. But what a start it's been. It's been an electric start to this second race of the night. Really great racing so far, and currently you can see that we've got Charlie trying to attack on the back of Nick the Villa. Revolt Detail a little bit wide, so is Team MW. They're both on the curb there on the exit of Cops corner. Somebody was in another postcode there as they came out of Cops. I think that was Ollie Marr, who managed to completely miss the corner and was basically about a football pitch wide of the actual track. But he's still going there in 11th place at the moment, and no dramas really at this stage. Oh, somebody's off there. Who was that? That is, I think that's Charlie there, who was wide coming out of Chapel, all over the runoff there. Cobb in the meantime is attacking on the back of Captain Harlock into Brooklands. Down the inside he goes. Captain Harlock trying to hold it there on the outside of the inside for Luffield, and should be able to hold on to that position. But Cobb here looking around the outside, has to tuck in for the time being. There's nothing doing there for him. John Boy just waiting and watching here on the fringes of podium place. Obviously P5 in the first race, not where he'd have wanted to be, and knows he needs to make up the points that he lost there to Mike. But Mike continuing to gain points on John Boy over the course of tonight. He took the win in the first race. He currently leads the second race. What a job it's been from Mike so far in the BTCC for round 6 tonight at Silverstone National, and he needs to really make it work this week, does Mike, because he obviously won the championship, let's not forget, a couple of seasons ago in the touring cars, but obviously last season didn't race every round. He was I think he raced 6 out of the 8 rounds. He wasn't able to make every week, so wasn't able to figure in the championship battle. John Boy was able to regain the title, which he hadn't won for nearly 2 years at the time. And he was obviously able to become a 3-time champion. He'd been a 2-time champion for pretty much 2 years before he became a 3-time champion last season. John Boy here looking down the inside of Cobb into Brooklands. He goes a little bit wide there onto the grass, and Cobb here will hold it around the outside for Luffield. And John Boy there just had to probably get out of it a little bit there. Didn't want to go spearing into Cobb, into Luffield. So he tucks in for the time being, but no dramas there between those two for now. Mike still ahead of Captain Harlock as they're coming out of Woodcote here, about to complete lap 5 of the race. Currently Mike here keeping ahead of his teammate, doing a good job of keeping onto that position. Cobb here just sat on the fringes of them. You've got John Boy. There is Craig on the back of them as well, so Craig's not dropping off them too much either. Nick Levilla's also there as well in P6. He's been very quiet in this race, Nick. He's just been sat there just going about his business, and he's currently sat within 2 seconds almost of the race lead. So Nick Levilla could be a potential dark horse here in his second race. Still early stages of his second race of the night. Currently Captain Harlock is trying to come back at Mike here coming down the Wellington Straight. This could get interesting with the two teammates obviously both still technically championship contenders, albeit Mike with a much better chance in this season with the standings as they are right now. Captain Harlock losing a lot of points due to the drop rounds, but coming into Luffield we go as Mike having to defend here from his teammate, and that might have just opened up Captain Harlock a little bit there. Cobb now looking to try and get a run here coming out of Luffield, but through Woodcote we go, and Captain Harlock getting a better run there out of Luffield, which has served him up beautifully down the start finish straight. He should be able to pull away from Cobb here coming down towards Cobb's corner, and should be able to cement his position in P2 for the time being. John Boy there just sat on the fringes of them with Craig and Nick right there as well. These guys have gapped Charlie, who's got Revolt Detailer, and Ollie battling behind him. Ollie's picked up a couple of drivers here. Oh, is Ollie a bit of a slide there going through Cops? Gets it horribly wrong, and his teammate will pick him off here coming down towards Maggots, and if he's not careful he might lose out to Grandad Steer as well here. Ollie Marr just a little bit aggressive, got a bit impatient there, and ultimately he's paid the price. His teammate moves himself up into 9th place, as in the background the Mutts Nuts here trying to attack on Grandad Steer. Grandad Steer moving through ahead of Ollie, so Ollie's lost about 3 places there in the space of 3 corners. The Mutts Nuts is going to probably try and get Ollie here coming down towards Brooklands. Ollie here's just lost out there. He's lost out on a drag strip there down towards Brooklands, so Grandad Steer around the outside of him and round the outside of RJ Dale potentially as well. No, has to back out of that one for now, so tucks in there as the Mutts Nuts is looking up the inside of Team MW coming into Luffield, but Team MW getting a decent run there out of Luffield, and is going to get the run here coming down the start finish straight. But dramatic race so far tonight. Great racing here at Motive for the BTCC here for round 6 of this 8-round season for season 14. Currently Thoris Steers dropped off at the back of the lead pack quite a bit, but still 8 seconds covering the top 14 drivers here, as they're still all going at it here. And what a fantastic advert for the leagues here at Motive. I tell you what, I do love watching the BTCC here. It's always the best action throughout the week. It's the highlight of the week in terms of not just Project Cars 2, but in terms of the actual racing itself. You know, it's the best racing that we've got on any title by a country mile. But there's Mike and Captain, the 2 teammates there going through Luffield, and there's the chasing pack of Cobb, John Boy, Craig and Nick still on the fringes of them at the moment. Still 1.7 seconds covering the top 6, so it's very, very close here between all of these guys. But out onto the start finish straight once again, and there are the 2 leaders here, still pretty much bumper to bumper as they come through Cobb's corner. And these 6 continuing to gap Charlie, who's now coming under a bit of pressure from Revolt Detailer. Revolt Detailer has closed in on him a little bit over the course of the last couple of laps. You can see that Ollie's now got ahead of RJ Dale, his teammate, up into 9th place. So Ollie there in the same place that he lost a few places on the previous laps. Has now made a move on his teammate. Oh, and he goes aggressive there down the inside. There's RJ Dale trying to get the move back on Ollie, and the 2 teammates coming together there, coming through Beckett's. Ollie wide there, getting pushed out massively, and RJ Dale up into 9th place, and bit of a strange move there from a teammate on a teammate. You know, you wouldn't expect to see that, but in the meantime, Team MW looking to the inside of the Mutts Nuts into Brooklands we go, but too far back. Mutts Nuts goes a little bit deep there onto the runoff, but gets it turned in here for Luffield nicely. And no dramas there for him, but it's Mike still leading ahead of Captain as they're coming down into Cops corner once again. Half a second between the top 3. There's John Boy ahead of Craig, followed by Nick. Charlie Goff there running in 7th place at the moment, is just under a second ahead of Revolt Detailer. RJ Dale there running in 9th place ahead of Ollie, followed by the Mutts Nuts. Team MW there on the back of them with Aussie Albion and Grandad Steer. They're going through turn 1 at this point. But what a race we've had tonight here in the touring cars. It never disappoints. It always serves up absolute thrillers here. And once again, it's proved to be one of the most exciting championships here at Motive as we're coming through into Brooklands once again. The top 6 there, separated by just 6 seconds on lap 10. We're nearly halfway through the second race of the night. Currently Mike still leading this train of cars. They're all keeping it so tidy. They're all keeping themselves out of trouble. They're not making mistakes. Nobody's giving any quarter at this point out of these top 6 drivers. Captain once again with a bit of a run on his teammate here coming down towards Cops, but Mike will cover him off here for the time being. And Mike there with a beautiful exit out of Cops, is just taking him away from his teammate a little bit here. Cobb getting closer to the back of Captain coming down towards Maggots, but way too far back to be thinking of a move at the moment. But coming down the Wellington Straight here for the 11th time in this second race of the evening. John Boy now running in 4th place ahead of Craig and Nick. Now can he try and chase down the top 3? Cobb here looking to the inside of Captain in towards Brooklands. Is he going to go for it? He's not close enough. Just thought about it for a second there, didn't he? You could see that he was shaping up for a potential manoeuvre, but in the end thought maybe not worth my championship. That one. Obviously still very much in contention in this season is Cobb. He's not far away at all. 4 points behind Mike coming into tonight. Mike obviously took the win in the first race, which extended the gap to 6 points between the two of them. And as things stand in this one, the gap will be 10 points between them. So Cobb's still very much in that picture. And both of them gaining points on John Boy, the championship leader, who had a gap of 19 points over Mike and 23 points over Cobb before tonight. This is with drop rounds into play. The championship standings that I read at the beginning of this race were not the drop rounds. Obviously the drop rounds is how you factor in who wins the championship, whereas the standings that I read out, it's just the overall points, the overall classification. But the drop rounds are the way that we decide the championship finishing positions. The official championship finishing positions are decided by the drop rounds. So everybody loses their worst result of the season essentially, and that's how it works. But to come through Luffield here for the 12th time in this race, it's still Mike from captain, from Cobb, from John Boy, with Craig and Nick still sat on the fringes in this battle for the lead. Charlie Goff from Revolt Detailer there, running pretty much nip and tuck here in 7th and 8th places. There's Ollie just ahead of RJ and Team, as Team a little bit wide there on the exit of Luffield, but keeping the momentum here at the moment on the back of these two. As we see John Boy now looking to the inside, he's going to have to switch back to the outside because Cobb defending the inside line. John Boy looking on the outside of Brooklands, but Cobb's just managing to wiggle his way into a blocking manoeuvre there, and John Boy can't get up the inside here for Luffield. Cobb will get a decent enough exit here out of Luffield surely, and will keep on to this one quite comfortably, but John Boy just pushing him a little bit, trying to force him into a mistake. Cobb gave him no quarter there, holding on to that podium place for the time being. Cobb knows he needs to finish ahead of John Boy. He can't afford to throw more points away to John Boy in this championship battle here. Mike and Cobb both know they need to be outscoring John Boy. As Nick there very wide coming out of Cobbs, and has just lost touch with the lead pack a little bit there with that mistake. He makes another mistake there going through Beckett's as well, so that would have just lost him a bit more time here. But they're at the top 5. Mike, Captain, Cobb and John Boy, and Craig with them as well. Down towards Brooklands we go. Cobb now looking to the inside of Captain again into Brooklands, but he goes a bit deep there, does Cobb. Obviously the touring cars, I've described it before, it's a bit like a boxing match, the BTCC here at Motor, the Renamagans, with their front wheel drive mechanism. It's like a boxing match. If you go for a move, if you take a risk and try and gain something, you open yourself up to a counter. You risk getting caught out, because if you go for a move on the driver in front and you don't get the traction, or you don't get a run, or you go a bit wide onto the grass, then essentially you're open to a counter from the driver behind you. So you might try and gain something, but you can also lose something. There's like a jeopardy involved in everything that you do. Just like a boxing match, if you go for a if you go for a risky punch, you open yourself up to a counter and could potentially get knocked on the floor. So it's kind of. I like these analogies. I know it's rubbish, but I do quite like these, making these analogies. Cobb defending to the inside here on John Boy into Brooklands, but still has this one under control at this point. But Mike, Captain, Cobb, John Boy, Craig right there, and they've gapped Nick the Villa now on this lap. So Nick the Villa's dropping out of contention just a little bit in this battle for the lead. As here we come out onto the start-finish straight once again here, about to start lap 16 of the race. Charlie and Revolt Detail, they're running in 7th and 8th places. There's a bit of a gap back to Ollie, who's got Team MW looking to his outside here into turn 1. There's Grandad Steer ahead of Aussie at the moment, and about the 12th and 13th places. Story Steer there, well behind these guys in 14th place. Oh, it's John Boy there to the inside into Brooklands, but just a little bit too far away at this point. John Boy here looking to do sort of Cobb into Cobb's corner. Has he got that one done? I think he has. Yeah, John Boy gets himself through there. Nicely done. As Cobb now looking to the outside. Can he get a run here? Actually, Cobb managing to get a better exit out of Cobbs down towards Maggots and Beck as we go. Cobb down the inside. Bit of contact there between the two of them. John Boy pushed a bit wide. Cobb also went wide. But that's going to give Craig a position here. So John Boy's not going to thank Cobb for that. Craig moved himself through up into 4th place. And John Boy tucks back into the slipstream here. So, yeah, a little bit naughty from Cobb. And John Boy now having to attack on the back of Craig here into Brooklands we go. As Craig gives Cobb a bit of a tap there going through Brooklands. Now loses out. John Boy back up into 4th. So Craig getting a bit impatient and coming unstuck as a result. As we see Mike and Captain still running in 1 and 2. It's been like this since the early stages of the race. Mike got the jump off of the line on Captain Harlock, his teammate, and since then has controlled things. These two have been running in those positions since basically the whole race pretty much. Revolt Detailer just had a Charlie Goff. These two battling over 7th and 8th places into Cops corner we go. Charlie looking for a move here. Can he get a run here coming out of Cops down towards Maggots and Beckett's? He had to take a wide line there, had to take evasive action because I think Revolt Detail was a bit down on speed compared to what Charlie was expecting as we come down towards Maggots and Beckett's again. But Leo has the inside there, covered off through Beckett's and into Chapel, and should be able to hold on to that 7th place for now as Charlie a bit wide there coming on the exit of Chapel, which has given it's given Leo a little bit more breathing room just there. Back to the leaders. Mike's got nearly a second now over his teammates, so Mike looking a bit more comfortable in that battle for the lead with Captain Harlock. John Boy still on the back of Cobb, trying to pressure him into a mistake, but these two battling it out have lost time to the two leaders and potentially knocking each other down here a little bit, being the thorn in each other's side for their pursuit of the race win. What a night it's been in the touring cars tonight. This has been absolutely superb racing as Mike and Captain once again coming through Maggots and Beckett's. There's the chasing two. They've now gapped Craig a little bit. There's Nick Levin running in 6th place. Revolt Detail is still just ahead of Charlie Goff in that battle for 7th and 8th places at this point. Team MW running just behind, or sorry, just ahead of RJ Dale. RJ Dale's got his teammate Ollie on the back of him here. Ollie seems to have lost out to these two, I don't know where, but he's now running in 11th place, so it's not gone well for him. There's a bit of a slide there from Team MW, a bit of a lock up there as he came on the exit of Chapel, all over the curb there as well. Is that going to give RJ Dale a run here down the end of the Wellington Straight? He might have an opportunity here to get ahead of him. As here we come into Brooklands once again. RJ Dale looking to the inside here on Team MW. But Team MW turns into the corner. No dramas there. Holding on to that one very nicely indeed. Team MW still just ahead of RJ Dale and Ollie at this point as we're coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's once again. We've got less than 2 laps to go here at Silverstone National for round 6. Obviously race 2 of the night. We've got one more race after this, which will be the reverse grid based on the results from this race. RJ Dale throwing everything here at Team MW. Got to keep an eye on the battle for the lead as well because Mike and Captain are just starting their final lap of the race. RJ Dale looking to the inside of Team MW coming into Brooklands, but too far back. Team MW goes a little bit deep. RJ Dale looking to try and get a cut back here. Ollie now attacking on his teammate as well as they come through Luffield. But no dice from any of these guys. No mistakes, no opportunities really forming. Let's go to the leaders here though, because Mike, Captain, and now Cobb is on the back of them. So Cobb's actually brought the gap down to the 2 leaders over the last lap here. So Cobb now, bit of a second win, bit of a late surge here. But I think he's going to get there a bit too late because we are on the final lap of the race. Can Captain Harlock force his teammate into a mistake here? Mike's led the race since turn 1, lap 1. Obviously, Captain was on pole, but Mike got the jump into turn 1 and led for the rest of it. Captain Harlock has got 2 corners to try and force his teammate into a mistake. I think that Mike's going to see this one out and make it 2 from 2 so far tonight. As through Luffield we go for the final time here in race 2, and out of out of Luffield up towards Woodcote for the final time. It's going to be Mike here who's going to take race 2, and it's going to be 2 from 2 so far tonight. Mike doing an absolutely superb job to close the gap to John Boy in the championship. It's Mike P1 ahead of Captain Harlock, with Cobb completing the podium. John Boy takes P4 in the end, losing points to his other 2 championship contenders. Maybe Captain Harlock bringing himself closer to the championship fight now, but it's not enough really, is it? Craig 5th, nicked over in 6th, with Charlie Goff in 7th. Revolt Detailer comes over to take 8th place here in the end, ahead of Team MW, who will finish in 9th. Ollie Marr takes P10 ahead of RJ Dale in 11th, with Aussie Albie over in 12th. Grandad Steve 13th, and Doris Steer completing the classification there in 14th place. But guys, what a race there for the second race of the night. We'll be back very, very shortly, because we're going to have the final race of the night on in just a second. It'll be the reverse grid based on the results from race 2, which we've just had right in front of us here. In terms of the fastest lap, who got fastest lap in that race and gets the 2 bonus points? It is Cobb, I think. No, it's not. It is Revolt Detailer. Leo, fastest lap, baby. Well done, boy. Jeez. Well done. I think 57.610. Leo, flying. Fair play. Well done, Leo. Revolt Detailer taking the fastest lap of the race there. Gets the 2 bonus points for his troubles. But yeah, guys, we'll be back very shortly for the final race of the evening. Don't go anywhere. Leo, you got the fastest lap. You got the fastest lap. Fucking well in, mate. Well in. Brilliant job, son. Ollie, why? Why do you have to use the BMW? Wait until next season. It's only 2 rounds left. Mate, don't do it. Don't do it. just no need. Right, grid order's going to be this then. So it'll be... Wait, who retired? Martz, okay. Alright, Martz, do you want to start P1? Alright, Doris P1, Steve P2, Aussie P3, RJ P4, Ollie P5, Team P6, Leo P7, Charlie P8, Nick P9, Craig P10, John Wood P11, Cobb P12, Cat P13, Mike P14, Mutz P15. Here we are then, guys. Welcome back for the final race of tonight here for the BTCC at Motive for season 14, round 6 of an 8-round season. We're currently just getting over for the formation lap, which is going to be getting into order for the reverse grid based on the results from race 2, which we had a few moments ago. So after race 2, this is before drop rounds, I'll hasten to add, but this is the standings coming into this one. So it is John Boy who leads the way on 447 points. He is 60 points clear of Mike, who sits in second on 387 points. Mike's a further 4 points ahead of Captain Harlock, who's 64 points off of the championship lead in third place on 383. Cobb is 22 points behind Mike, who's second, but obviously with the drop rounds coming into play, he'll gain on John Boy, who is currently 82 points behind, but Cobb sits fourth on 365 points in this season so far. Craig is in fifth on 328 points, followed by Ollie, who is sixth on 306. Then Nick Lavilla sits in seventh on 282 points, followed by Jay, who's eighth on 255 points. You've got Aussie Albie ninth on 252 points. Team W sits 10th on 238, followed by Charlie Goff in 11th on 232 points. Darvitic Lamb 12th on 215. Revolt Detailer in 13th on 193 points. Then you've got Doris Deer in 14th on 180. RJ Dale in 15th on 156. And the Mutts Nuts 16th on 70 points. But looks like we're underway. We're racing here down towards Cops Corner for the final time tonight here at Silverstone National. As we come into Cops Corner here, we can see they're all filing through your shop, and no runs been sleeping off at the start, so there's been no manoeuvres so far. Everybody's as they started here, but down towards Maggots and Beckett's we go. We've got potentially side by side Ollie looking on the back of his teammate. Oh, and there's contact there going into Maggots, and Team MW is speared into the wall. Who is that contact with? I'm not sure. We might find out when we see who else has dropped down the order. Looks like nobody else has, so whoever that hit him in the back there has got away scot-free with that one. But Team MW down to the back here as we come down towards Brooklands here for the first time at racing speeds. You can see there you got a Revolt Detailer looking to the inside there of RJ Dale into Brooklands, and he's going to make that move there as Revolt Detailer up into P5, but RJ Dale trying to keep himself there for Luffield, but Revolt Detailer gets it done there, and it's now looking at the inside of Ollie as well, as he managed to get the move there done out of Luffield, and Ollie there losing out to Revolt Detailer. Revolt Detailer up into fourth place here as we come towards the end of lap 2. But it's Doris from Steve. Aussie Albie there just ahead of Revolt Detailer with Ollie right there as well, as we've got a move being shaped up. Charlie Goff here looking to the inside of RJ Dale into Cops Corner, but can't make the move just at the moment. Nick Lavilla just running ahead of Craig at this point. Craig's got a bit of a run here coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's, and he gets a little bit onto the grass there, does Craig, as he's trying to use every part of the track he possibly can. As through Beckett's we go, and he has to tuck in for the time being, does Craig, but it's Doris Steer ahead of Grandad Steve, as Grandad Steve trying to come good here in the final race of the night. He's not had the night so far, racing as a reserve, as a substitute, late standing appearance tonight, and obviously he's a former champion in the touring car division, which I keep forgetting to mention, but obviously he actually won this championship before. As Aussie Albie wide there going through Brooklands, loses out to Revolt Detailer and Ollie, and just stays ahead of RJ Dale into Luffield, but that was a close call there for Aussie Albie. RJ Dale was just covering off Craig. You can see Charlie Goff a little bit wide there coming out of Luffield, but as covering off Nick Lavilla for the time being as they come through out onto the start finish straight here to complete lap 3 of the race. But in the foreground, Aussie's got Craig looking to his inside. RJ Dale actually losing out to Aussie there, so Aussie moving through around the outside of RJ Dale into Cops Corner. Aussie Albie gets himself up into P5. Beautiful move there from Aussie Albie as Craig now looks to follow him through, and Craig there on the outside of RJ Dale coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's, but it's still side by side as Craig here keeping himself there around the outside of RJ Dale. Through Beckett's we go. Can he get the move? Can he get the momentum here coming out onto Wellington Straight? I think he should be able to. And yeah, Craig just about keeping on to P6 there in that battle with RJ Dale. But Doris Steer leading ahead of Granite Steer as they come down towards Brooklands. There's Revolt Detail ahead of Ollie. You've got Aussie ahead of Craig. RJ Dale keeping on the inside of Charlie going through Brooklands. There's currently John Boy trying to make the move here around the outside of RJ Dale and gets it done up into 7th place there. Charlie Goff almost tapping RJ Dale in the rear there as to come out of Luffield. But these guys are all having a great fight here out the front. It's Doris Steer still leading ahead of Granite Steve, followed by Revolt Detailer, who's just within a second of these guys at the moment. There's Ollie Marr in 4th ahead of Aussie Albie, followed by Craig. John Boy there ahead of RJ Dale, followed by Charlie Goff, Captain Nick, Mike Cobb, and the Mutts Nuts there at the back of this train of cars. 5 seconds covering the top 14. Team MW with that early moment there going into the barriers, currently with a lot of work to do here in this final race of the night. But Doris Steer leading coming out onto the Wellington Straight here. And looking potentially on course for a potential win. Oh no! In the background, who's lost it? That was RJ Dale there. Got a huge snap. I think he might have had contact there potentially with Captain. Was it Captain he had contact with? I think it might have been, because Captain's dropped to the back of this pack. So RJ Dale there down to P15 has lost out to Team MW here. So Team MW has picked off one driver after dropping back at the start. But we've got side by side here. Ollie's looking to the inside of Granite Steve coming through Woodcut, looking to try and get himself into the podium places if he can. Ollie did ask if he could drive the BMW in this final race tonight, and I said no, basically, long story short. But Ollie there up into third place, gets himself ahead of Granite Steve going through Copse Corner. As Aussie here has got pressure from Craig, with John Boy and Mike right there as well. As we come down towards Maggots and Beckett's once again, John Boy looking to the inside there on Craig, but nothing doing as Aussie there a bit wide. But Craig looking at the inside, can he poke a nose in? Can he get a run here coming down the Wellington Straight? Doesn't look like he's able to just at the moment then. As Royal Detailer looking to the outside of Forestier there through Luffield. Can he get a cut back here? He's going to get it done beautifully there. There's the Royal Detailer. Didn't need a second invitation. Forestier just taking a little bit too much there on the entry to the corner. And Revolt Detailer now leads this final race of the night. But he's got Ollie and Granite Steve charging behind him. But the crucial thing is, this pack of four have got about 3 seconds back to John Boy, who could potentially now be chasing after them. Now he's in some clean air ahead of his teammate Aussie. Aussie's now got Craig charging down his inside there into Copse, and Craig pushes Aussie a little bit wide there as they're coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's now. So it looks as though Craig might have that done. No, John Boy actually getting a good run there. Getting ahead of Aussie, should I say. As Mike there squeezing his way through ahead of Aussie as well. So Aussie will be losing a few places here. Has got Cobb now on the back of him here. But the leaders, the guys who started at the back, John Boy, Mike, Cobb, these guys continuing to cut their way through the pack here. But the lead four have managed to get a bit of a break here. Revolt Detailer though with a fantastic opportunity of maybe being able to take his first ever win here at Motive. What a night it'd be to do that. It's a good opportunity around a track like this because it's... You know, it's one of those where you can always be in the fight. Even if you get past, you can keep up in the slipstream. And he just has to defend like crazy here at Revolt Detail. That's all he has to do. He just has to park his car in the right places. Make sure he gives Ollie no quarter and no opportunities. Could we see Leo take his first ever win in the BTCC? That would be fantastic. I'll be so happy for him if he gets it. He's finished on the podium, I think, a couple of times, but never taken a win here. He's been racing with us now, I think, since season 11. So this is his 4th season here at Motive. Always Aussie there wide onto the grass there coming out of Chapel, loses out there to a couple of the drivers there. So Mike and Cobb moving through, Nick staying ahead. Actually no, Nick's moving ahead of him there, so Nick up into 9th place as there's Aussie losing out there to actually Charlie tucking in behind Aussie for the time being. Nick goes a bit deep there going through Brooklands, but gets it turned into Luffield nonetheless. No dramas there for Nick. Goes a bit wide there through Luffield. Is Aussie going to be able to get a cut back here? He is, in fact, yeah. So Aussie there is going to get the run here. Down through Woodcut we go, but Nick's going to have the momentum around the outside and probably get better straight line speed, I would have thought, coming down towards Copse, as these two are still side by side. Who's going to come out on top in this one? Aussie is going to keep it up the inside there of Nick and gets it done up into 9th place. So Aussie there back up into the position in the background there. You can see Nick going a bit wide. Or is it the Mutsnut? Sorry, going a bit wide, should I say. Nick's teammate as he's side by side here with Charlie into Beckett's. Oh, Charlie takes a bit too much curve there, pushes Nick wide, and that allows Captain Harlock to get both of them there. Captain Harlock sails through up into 11th place. No dramas there for him. Easy pickings there for Captain Harlock as we go back to the leaders. But John Boy is now pulled up onto the back of this top four, and this is now a 5-way battle for the leaders. John Boy there wide out of Brooklands onto the grass a little bit. Would have cost him a bit of time. He's going to still get ahead of Granad Steedo. Granad Steedo got a horrible run there going through Brooklands and loses out. So John Boy up into 4th place. Craig here with Mike side by side with him. And this is suddenly becoming into an 8-car battle for the lead with John Boy, Craig, Mike and Cobb coming for this lead pack, and Revolt Detail are still at the head of it at the moment, but Ollie Martin knows he needs to get a move on here, otherwise he'll be a sitting duck for this pack of cars behind him. As here we come once again into Maggots and Beckett's here. Revolt Detailer does lead as he goes a little bit wide there. Ollie's got pressure here. John Boy is up into 3rd place. They've all made a position here as Thoristier's lost out to all of them. So Thoristier down to P5. John Boy and Craig here continuing to cut their way through the pack here like a hot knife through butter in this final race of the night, as there goes Thoris sticking back to the inside of Craig, and a bit of contact there between the two of them, and Craig holding it around the outside there. Oh, John Boy tapped Ollie in the rear, and what's happened there to Ozzy? Is that Ozzy? Who's that? Was that it was Ozzy there? Was it Ozzy there wide? Yeah, coming out of Brooklands. What happened there to Ozzy? I don't know what happened to him there. I just saw him crawling over the grass. Goodness knows what on earth occurred there. But Revolt Detail now leads by over a second here, because John Boy is up into second place, as down the inside he goes on Ollie. Ollie trying to keep it around the outside here of Cop's Corner, goes very wide there, does Ollie. Really taking advantage of the runoff there. John Boy surely going to get a run here down towards Maggots and Beckett's, but Ollie will keep onto that position actually quite comfortably there. He probably gained an advantage by going as wide as he did. John Boy there down the inside there through Beckett's, gets it done on Ollie up into second place. Mike and Craig side by side here on the exit of Chapel Curve, coming down the Wellington Straight. In the background there, who was that? It was wide. That was Charlie there, who was in another postcode there coming out of Chapel. What was he doing there? I'm not sure what he was trying to do in that instance. Oh no! As Craig there loses it on the exit of Brooklands, gets horribly wide there. Wow. Craig there losing a few places there, down to 8th place in that little debacle. Grandad Steve and Doris Steer side by side here coming through Woodcote. Who's going to come out on top in this one? Doris Steer keeping it around the outside, getting the momentum here down the start finish straight. Ollie there keeping it on the outside. John Boy onto the grass a little bit there on the exit of Brooklands, but Ollie there getting himself back up into the podium places on the inside of Cobb there. Cobb a little bit wide there onto the runoff, might be open to an attack here from Mike as they're coming through Woodcote. Who's going to get a better run? Depends who gets the slipstream maybe, but Mike there just squeezing ahead of Cobb here down towards Cobb's Corner. He's going to complete the move surely as we come through turn 1. Yep, Mike there up into 4th place. Ollie there just tapping John Boy a little bit in the rear on the exit of Cop's Corner as we come down towards Maggots and Beckett's once again. There they all are. That long train of cars. Oh no! Incident there. Grandad Stee hits Doris Steer in the rear. Gets a tap in the rear also from Craig. So Grandad Stee, bit of a meat in the sandwich there. Craig here defending from captain into Brooklands, keeping ahead of him for the time being. Revolt Detail is still leading the race as we're coming into the sort of the final part of this final race of the night, but he has got John Boy running in second place. Can John Boy ruin Revolt Detailer's party here? As we start lap 14, we've got 9 laps left to go as Cobb here looking to the inside, Mike looking to the inside here on Ollie Marr. Ollie wide there out of Cops, and that's going to give Mike P3. Mike there says thank you very much, Ollie. I appreciate that. Side by side here between Craig and the Mutsnut. No, not the Craig and the Mutsnut, sorry. It was, I don't know who it was now. It was Captain. Captain was sideways, I think, but completely got away. No, I don't know. God knows. I think it was Captain who was sideways. Somehow they're all still survived. Revolt Detail is still leading. John Boy running in second place. And the thing is here, it doesn't look like John Boy is gaining on Revolt Detail that much. So I don't know whether Leo's, he seems to have some really good pace around Silverstone National tonight. Maybe potentially he is pulling away, although John Boy actually got a better run coming out of Luffield. As we start lap 15 of the race, Revolt Detail is still holding onto this lead by the skin of his teeth as we come into Cop's Corner. John Boy looking to the inside, trying to attack a little bit. Mike is still looking for a way through here on John Boy, but they're side by side. They're coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's, but it is still Revolt Detail leading this final race of the night here at Silverstone National. As Mike's got ahead of John Boy, so Mike's made the move there on the exit of Chapel Curve, and up into P2 he goes. Beautifully done there from him. John Boy must have left the door open, and Mike seized on that. Didn't need a second invitation there. Grandesty looking to the inside of Captain into Brooklands. Captain holding it around the outside here. And we'll have the inside for Luffield and gets it done. Oh, it's Mutsnuts there tapping Grandesty in the rear there, going through Luffield. Ollie all over the back of John Boy there, going through Beckett's. Cobb's still on the fringe of these leaders. Doris Deer taking a tie line there as he came through Beckett's. Out onto the Wellington straight once again. Captain Harlock might get a run here on Doris because he got a much better exit there out of that corner. Ollie in the meantime has moved ahead of John Boy, but John Boy back down the inside into Brooklands, gets that move back done again. Doris Deer looking down the inside of Captain, can't do it, can't get back ahead of him. Captain completes that move up into P6. Back to the leaders though. Revolt Detailer still has a slender lead, but he's got a charging pack of cars. Mike, John Boy, Ollie and Cobb. There's 5 of them for the lead here as we start lap 17 of the race. 6 laps left to go here at Silverstone National. Revolt Detailer standing on the verge of taking maybe his first ever victory here at Motive. It's been a long time coming. It's been 4 seasons of graft, 4 seasons of improvements, gradually getting closer to the pace of these seasoned veterans. But Mike's making a move for the lead here into Beckett's. We go. Revolt Detailer gives him the space on the inside, goes a little bit deep there going through Chapel, and Mike there moves his way through up into the lead. So Mike there taking P1, but Leo's got a bit of a run here coming down the Wellington straight. Might be able to come back at him here coming down towards Brooklands. Mike here has a slender advantage. Leo looking to the inside. They're side by side here coming into Brooklands. Down the inside goes Leo. Very late on the brakes. Push him a little bit wide. And Mike there ever so wide there. But he holds it around the outside. Leo onto the grass. John Boy there seizing the initiative. Moving through up into P2. And John Boy now pushes Mike a little bit wide. And John Boy now retakes the lead here coming on the exit of Luffield. Great move there from John Boy. Now Leo's got to run on both of them coming down the start finish straight. Here comes Revolt Detailer once again. Great driving here from Leo as we're 3 wide coming in towards Cop's corner. Here we go. Down the inside goes Revolt Detailer. He retakes the lead back off of both of them. And Mike there wide on the exit of Cop's corner. John Boy down the middle here. We're almost 3 wide coming down to Maggots and Beckett's, but I think Revolt Detailer has a clear advantage here coming into the corner. Yes, he does. And Mike's got John Boy down the middle there. You can see Cobb trying to get involved in this as well. Cobb here on the back of his teammate though. What's he going to do? How is he going to play the team game? Is he going to play the team game here? Is he going to try and help his mate win his first ever race here at Motive? Down towards Brooklands we come once again. Leo covering off Mike as they come into the corner. And there's no way through for Mike. Oh, he goes a little bit wide, but he gets it turned in. No dramas. Leo holding on to it for the time being. This is squeaky bum time right now for Revolt Detailer. We've got 4 laps left to go here at Silverstone National for this final race of the night. And he's still hanging in there by the skin of his teeth. Is he going to be able to keep it there until the final lap? That's the question here with Mike and Cobb and Ollie and John Boy. These guys are so quick and have got so much talent in these cars. But Revolt Detailer is absolutely driving the wheels off of his car tonight. He's doing a superb job out the front. His composure, unbelievable at this stage. As we come out of Chapel once again, and Revolt Detailer actually got a slightly better exit than Mike there, coming out onto Wellington Straight, and should be able to hold on here comfortably coming into Brooklands. Grandmaster there for the session, obviously not having the best of races in this final race of the night. He's thrown in the towel here. But Leo coming out of Luffield still has the ascendancy just here in what's been a fantastic fight for the lead. As we start lap 20, we've got 3 laps left to go here for the BTCC round 6 here for the final race of the night at Silverstone National. Here we come once again. Leo didn't get a great run there. Captain Harlock has Mike, is going to have a look here coming into Maggots, but no dice. Can't go for the gap. Leo needs to get a good exit here out of Chapel, and he does get a good exit out of Chapel. Not the best, but it will serve him well. He's got the inside for Brooklands and should be okay here. Side by side here between Revolt Detailer and Mike. Cobb and Ollie battling side by side in the background. John Boy's lost a few places here as Mike looking to the outside here of Leo into Brooklands, and he's going to have that one done, I think, into Luffield. Can he complete it? Yes, he does. Now, Revolt detailed his teammate Cobb up the inside here as well on the exit of Luffield. So Cobb there moving through. So Mike now leads the race, but Revolt detailed his teammate there, getting himself involved. Now the meet in a sandwich between Mike and his teammate. Into Cobb's corner we go. Bit of contact there as Ollie pushes Revolt detail a little bit wide coming out of Cobb's corner. Bit of contact there between the two of them now. They're rubbing doors a little bit coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's. But Mike leading ahead of Cobb. Is Cobb now going to chase after Mike and challenge him for the lead? But Mike here obviously taking the lead here with 2 laps left to go. Could potentially be on course for making it 3 out of 3 tonight. What a night it's been for Mike. But I'm gutted for Revolt Detailer because I was hoping he was going to hold on and take the win here. I won't lie to you, I'm not supposed to be biased, but I'm gutted. But Mike, you cannot take anything away from him because he's driven an absolute cracker of a round tonight. Taking points off of John Boy in every single race. And he could be leading the championship after drop rounds with John Boy down in P7 here in his final race of the night. Mike could be leading the championship with drop rounds coming into effect. Unless Cobb can spoil his party here on the final lap of the race. As we come into Cobb's here. Can Ollie get on these two and maybe be the cork in the bottle here and take the race win? As here we come into Maggots and Beckett's here for the final time. It's Mike, Cobb, Ollie, Revolt Detailer. The captain has got the Mutts Nuts and John Boy hassling him. Can John Boy gain a couple of extra points here? I reckon that Mike will be leading the championship after this round with the drop rounds taken into account. I'll be working out the top 5 drop round scores after this, so we know what the situation is with the championship contenders. But here we come, Mike Gaming, or Oni Mike as he's known nowadays, coming out through Woodcote. He's going to take the victory in the final race of the night. It's 3 from 3 here for Mike, and he's going to potentially be taking the championship lead, or at the very least cutting the gap down to a very, very low amount. But to John Boy, it's Mike from Cobb from Ollie, the top 3. Somebody's binned it over the line there, but I think they all crossed the line before that happened. Revolt Detailer 4th ahead of Captain 5th. The Mutts Nuts comes over in 6th ahead of John Boy 7th. Craig over in 8th with Nick Liver the 9th ahead of Doris Steer 10th. Charlie in 11th. TMW 12th and RJ Dale completing the classification there in 13th place. We lost Grenad Steve, obviously, and lost Aussie Albie as well. But that is the classification, guys. We're going to get the championship standings done now. So hang fire. I'll be a couple of minutes whilst I just get this filled in, and then we should have some up-to-date tables for you. And obviously I will work out the drop round scores as well. So fastest lap of the race goes to Mike. Driver of the day, give it to Mike. Started at the back, still won the race. Cracker of a drive there. No other candidates really. Mike P1, Cobb P2, Ollie P3, Leo P4, Captain P5, Mutts P6, John Boy P7, Craig P8, Nick P9, Doris P10, Charlie P11, Team P12, RJ P13. Obviously we lost Grandesty and Aussie Albie. Right then, that is the championship standings done. Now I'm going to quickly get my pen and paper out and just work out what the drop round scores are. Well, actually, let me read the full championship standings first. So, after round 6 here at Silverstone National tonight, it's John Boy leading on 467 points. He's 47 points clear of Mike before drop rounds, who sits second on 420. Captain Harlequin third on 407, ahead of Cobb in 4th on 395. Craig sits 5th on 346. He's 12 points clear of Olimar, who's 6th on 334 points. Nick Lavilla 7th on 298 points. ahead of Jay, who's 8th on 255 points. Aussie Albie in 9th on 252. He's ahead of 4 points ahead of Team MW, who sits 10th on 248 points. He's a further 4 points ahead of Charlie Goff, who's 11th on 244. Revolt Detailer in 12th on 219, moves ahead of Diabetic Lamb, who's 13th on 215. Doris Deer 14th on 194 points, ahead of RJ Dale, who's 15th on 164. Mutts Nuts in 16th on 92 points, with 5Fs in 17th on... Sorry, Mutts Nuts 16th on 92 points, 5F 17th on 68 points, and Park Pooper 18th on 60 points. Constructors Championship, Captain Mike moving well clear now of Aussie John Racing. 827 points for Captain Mike. They're now 108 points clear of Aussie John Racing and have got one hand on the trophy realistically now. Corn on the Cob in 3rd, moving ahead of CC Racing on 614 points into a podium position in the Constructors. Great job from Corn on the Cob tonight. CC Racing 4th on 590 points, well clear of the Mutts Nuts, who are 5th. Sorry, no Mutts Racing even, who are 5th on 519 points. Yo Racing sits 6th on 498, with TJ Monster 7th on 449, and Worth a Try in 8th on 316 points. Now, drop rounds coming into play. I don't think any of the top guys did their drop score tonight. I think they all... Actually, John Boy might have done, actually. Hold on. No, John Boy scored 71 tonight, so that wasn't his drop score. He's had worse rounds than that this season. Saying that, Captain Harlock only scored 68 tonight. Was that his worst score of the season? It might have actually been his worst. Oh no, his worst score was way worse than that. Yeah, I don't think that anybody's done their drop score this week. Or actually, maybe Craig might have done his drop score this week, actually. No, he didn't. No, Craig's worst score was worse than that. So, championship standings then. Nobody's gone and changed their drop score. So essentially, John Boy still drops to 66. So that's 467 minus 66, which is 401. Mike still drops 12 points. So he's on 408 points. Captain Harlock still drops 54 points. So he's on 354. Cobb drops no points at all. He's on 395 points, still very much in contention. Right then, 4 realistic contenders left in this championship battle for the BTCC here for season 14. It's now Mike who leads the championship on the drop scores. He's on 408 points. He's scored 420. He drops 12 due to his drop score. 408 points he sits on at the moment. John Boy has scored 467 altogether, but he dropped 66 as that was his lowest score of this season. Incredible, 66 points was his lowest score in a round. He sits on 401 points, so Mike leads the championship by 7 points with 2 rounds left to go. Captain Harlock well off for the battle, but Cobb is right there still, 395 points, drops no points because he missed a round. So Cobb is only 13 points off for the championship lead. So Mike on 408, John Boy on 401, Cobb on 395. Those 3 are your championship contenders. Harlock now on 354 after drop rounds. I think he's almost out of it now. I reckon it's between Mike, John Boy and Cobb for this season's title. But who's it going to be, guys? We just don't know. Find out over the next 2 rounds. Tune in next week. We'll be live at the same time as always at Donington Park on the GP circuit for the touring cars. We'll be on the national circuit for the Clios as well. So tune in on Tuesday to see that. But guys, thanks ever so much for joining us once again. We'll see you next week. Have a great evening. Enjoy the weekend if you don't see you before for the F1 or ACC. And yeah, laters.